Three boys cornered her in the bathroom, laughing low, thinking fear would keep her quiet. But Simone Wells didn't flinch. She stepped out, camera rolling, and said, cold as steel, "Keep talking. You're doing great." They didn't know the whole city would hear them by sundown. Hi, everyone. Today we're stepping into a story that might sound like fiction, but echoes through real hallways every single day. A story about how a single calm voice can turn a whisper of injustice into a roar that shakes the walls of an entire community. And here's the blunt truth. This could happen to anyone, even you, even someone you love, because power abuses don't check IDs at the door. So before we dive into the story, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is as you press play. I love seeing those pins light up the map. Now picture an ordinary Tuesday outside Midtown Fresno Middle School. The Central Valley sun already nudging the thermometer past 75 degrees by mid-morning, the asphalt shimmering like a stovetop nobody bothered to turn off. Inside, fluorescent lights hum over the din of lockers, sneakers, and seventh period chatter. But Simone Wells has learned how to carve out 6 precious minutes of silence in that chaos. She's 13, 5'2" on tiptoe, with tight braids that graze the collar of the thrift store denim jacket she wears, even when the valley air feels like a blow dryer, and she guards those 6 minutes the way a desert traveler guards water. Every lunch period, she eyes the clock, grabs the laminated hall pass the moment the cafeteria monitor looks away, and drifts toward the West Wing girls' restroom, 27 tiled squares from the vending machines because nobody ever goes there. The custodians swear the old plumbing groans like a haunted pipe organ, and most kids would rather hold it than listen to that metallic moan. For Simone, though, the moan is a lullaby, a reminder that this stall is hers, and hers alone, a sanctuary where she can count ceiling stains, breathe out the static of gossip, and imagine the future she sketches in secret debate. Team Captain UCLA, Law Courtroom, Thunder. At home on West Shields Avenue, her mom stocks the fridge with generic orange juice and stretches every gallon of gas in a dented Civic. But here at school, Simone stretches seconds, squeezing calm from a schedule packed tighter than a Band-Aid box. She needs calm more than ever today because second period history just detonated under fluorescent glare. Ms. Garner had queued up a slide of Freedom Riders when Dylan Reeves, 14, varsity jacket swagger, even though middle school football is just oversized helmets and muddy cleats, leaned back and muttered, "Guess some folks just love skipping bus fare." A couple of kids snickered, the kind of low laugh that skates under a teacher's radar. But Simone's spine snapped straight. She raised her hand, voice light, but edged with granite, and said, "They weren't skipping fares. They were challenging segregation, which is, unconstitutional." Ms. Garner blinked halfway between gratitude and disbelief while Dylan's cheeks flared crimson. Carter Lynn pumped an elbow into Dylan's ribs. Andre Miller rolled a pencil between knuckles like it might become a dart. The bell rang before the tension could clot, yet Simone felt the air vibrate with promises of payback the kind boys make without words, just narrowed eyes that follow you past trophy cases. By lunch, the cafeteria smelled of pepperoni squares and bleach, and Simone's nerves buzzed louder than the overhead fans. She picked at soggy fries, watched Dylan's table 3 rows away, noted how he mimed pushing nerd glasses up his nose, while Carter snorted into chocolate milk. She forced herself to chew. Slowly, remember Grandpa's advice. Walk like you own the ground, and when the digital clock blinked 12:14, she slid her tray away, flashed the pass, and hit the hallway. Sneakers squeaked on waxed linoleum. Posters promising zero tolerance fluttered under weak AC vents. Simone adjusted the strap of her backpack, bricks of textbooks, bottle of hand sanitizer, a spiral notebook whose margin doodles kept her sane, and let her heartbeat settle into that familiar tile count rhythm, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 27. She pushed the restroom door, inhaled the cool echo, and let it swing shut behind her with a sigh that sounded almost human. Inside, the mirrors were streaked with hard water constellations, but she barely glanced at her reflection. Instead, she stepped into the last stall, hooked her pack on the bent aluminum hanger, closed the latch with a soft click, and finally exhaled. 6 minutes, she set an inner countdown like a pilot before takeoff. She thought about the constitutional law podcast she'd discovered, about how Thurgood Marshall once said, "You can do anything so long as you fight for it, and she wondered if Marshall ever got scared the way she did this morning when Dylan's laugh crawled under her skin. Fear, she told herself, is a spark. Let it burn through the junk light the path. 5 minutes left. Somewhere beyond the bathroom, the intercom crackled names for early pickup. 4 minutes. She imagined her future dorm desk covered in law reviews. 3, but the hinge groaned and her sanctuary lurched. Simone's shoulders stiffened. Footsteps shuffled against cracked ceramic 3 sets by the sound. Not the timid patter of girls fixing mascara, but the weighted cadence of sneakers that drag out intimidation. Dylan's voice slithered between stall doors, sing-song, "Hey, Miss Dictionary? You hiding?" Carter's chuckle echoed off graffiti that read, "Melissa Hart's Harry Styles." Andre clicked his tongue like a metronome. Simone's pulse hammered, but her mind hovered, collecting data. Voices, angles, distance to exit, everything Grandpa's chess lessons had drilled always, mapped the board before moving a piece. She slid her phone from her jacket pocket, thumbed the side button twice, camera rolling lens peeking through the sliver where stall door meets partition. She whispered so soft only courage could hear, "Stay steady." Dylan said, "Funny how you got all brave with teachers watching, but not so much in here." Carter kicked a trash can for emphasis. Andre sucked teeth. Simone gently unlatched the stall, pushed it open, and stepped out with the phone down by her thigh screen glowing red. "Keep talking," she said, voice flat as quartz. "You're doing great." Dylan's smirk faltered, eyes darting to the camera. Carter's bravado sagged like a popped balloon, and Andre folded arms, nostrils flaring. Before anyone could react further, another creak sliced the tension. Freshman Leah Ortiz, barely 5 feet and carrying a bright yellow geometry book, froze at the threshold. She took in the tableau, 3 boys boxing a girl phone, recording fear transformed into evidence. I'll come back," Leah stammered, but her very presence snapped the boys' script. They muttered curses, brushed past her, and vanished into hallway chatter. Simone didn't move until the door thudded again, then thumbed stop on the recording, lungs quivering like plucked guitar strings. Sanctuary shattered, but something new, stronger stood in its place. Simone steadied herself against the cool ceramic sink, watching the ripples of fluorescent light quiver across the mirror, while Leah Ortiz lingered by the door cheeks, pink eyes white as saucers. Leah finally whispered, "You okay?" And Simone, pulse still hammering, but voice calm, answered. Better than they expected, pocketing the phone as if it were nothing more than chapstick, yet knowing the tiny rectangle now held a truth none of the boys could scrub away. The lunch bell shrieked like an impatient referee, and the girls filed out side by side, Leah clutching her geometry book as a kind of shield, while Simone counted those 27 tiles in reverse, each step feeling heavier than the one before. Because victory in a restroom stall didn't translate to safety in a hallway, thick with whisper networks. Third period math opened with the squeak of dry erase markers. Mr. Ellison droned about quadratic equations, but Simmons felt Dylan's stare drilling into the back of her head from 2 rows over. And when sheets of notebook paper rustled for practice problems, she caught the faint hiss of her surname stretched like bubblegum. Wells, followed by Carter's stage whisper, "Guess she'll film us if we breathe wrong." And a ripple of muffled laughter slithered across the room. Mr. Ellison paused, brow creasing behind bifocals, yet he merely cleared his throat and wrote a bigger X on the board, as though algebra might drown out malice. After class, Simone lingered, debating whether to speak, but Ellison was already scanning his gradebook and muttering about missing assignments. Once again, the adults were too busy to notice the smoke before the blaze. By last bell, the Central Valley sky had turned copper, and Simone walked the sidewalk home, denim jacket itching her shoulders, phone heavy and pocket mine, replaying footage frame by frame. Mom's shift at the clinic ran late on Tuesdays, so dinner meant microwave burritos with her 7-year-old brother Jabari, recounting Pokemon trivia while Simone feigned smiles. In her bedroom, posters of Mae Jemison and a UCLA pennant watched as she transferred the clip to a hidden cloud folder, double passworded, because trust was a currency she couldn't spend lightly. Wednesday opened with the smell of bleach and cinnamon sugar churros. Simone reached her locker to find a crudely folded sheet of wide-ruled paper, wedged in the vents block, letters scrawled in Sharpie. "Bet you stay quiet next time." No signature, no need. She snapped a photo, dropped the note into her pocket, and inhaled once twice, reminding herself that Grandpa's chess mantra, see the whole board, required patience. First period gym cranked the tension. Coach Ramirez barked pair-ups for volleyball drills, and Simone's usual partner, Hannah Kim, was out sick, so Ramirez scanned the bleachers and said, "Wells, you'll work with Miller." Andre's grin spread slow like oil on water. The ball left his fingers with a vicious topspin, whistled past Simone's ear, smacked the maple bleachers so hard it left a dusty print. "My bad," he shrugged, though the smirk contradicted every syllable, and Coach Ramirez hollered, "Shake it off, folks," never pausing to notice Simone's clenched fists. The second serve bombed into her forearms, stinging through denim sleeves. She set her stance-planted sneakers and refused to flinch, the third spike missing her face by an inch, yet refusing to draw a whistle. Later, in locker room humidity thick with body spray, Simone heard Carter brag, "Girl's got reflexes, I'll give her that," and Dylan replying, "Reflexes won't save her GPA when we're done." Laughter ping-ponging off metal lockers while Coach's office stereo blared, sports radio loud enough to drown complaints before they formed words. At lunch, Simone's sanctuary route felt booby-trapped. She ate half a turkey sandwich, then chose a circuitous path to the library instead, hoping silent shelves might grant reprieve. The librarian, Mrs. Kemper, silver bun tight enough to bounce quarters, smiled and pointed toward the back study tables. Yet even there, Simone spotted Dylan through the window, mouthing "film this," while pretending to air snap a selfie. Carter jerked an imaginary noose around his neck, and Andre clutched his throat in mock horror before dissolving into cackles. Mrs. Kemper shelved biographies a few feet away and missed everything. That afternoon, Simone mustered courage to visit guidance. The office smelled of peppermint diffusers and laminated motivational quotes. But Counselor Briggs listened with tilted head, nodding thoughtfully until the word recording surfaced. Then his posture stiffened like a cat brushed against grain. "Simone, district policy is tricky about phones during instructional hours," he cautioned, scribbling notes yet offering no concrete remedy beyond, "We'll keep an eye out." "Eye out," Simone thought, biting back sarcasm. Their eyes were always shut until cameras clicked. Evening brought a lifeline cousin Tasha, FaceTime from her cluttered bedroom across town, basketball posters peeling behind her. Simone hovered over the screen, voice low, "I got video." She described every detail from Dylan's mocking tone to Leah's inadvertent rescue. Tasha's brows knitted. "Send it. Don't post, just send." Simone hesitated. Pixels felt safer than open confrontation, but tapped upload, trusting the only person who never dismissed her fears. Tasha watched the clip twice, jaw tightening. "They think privacy is a shield," she said, "but sometimes walls need windows." She promised discretion, yet Simone sensed plans clicking into place like dominoes. Thursday dawned with fog hugging the vineyard edges and a chill that seeped through Simone's jacket. Still, she walked taller, as if the cloud-backed sky held her secret like an ally. But the boys doubled down. In science, Dylan dropped a dissected frog's heart beside her notebook, whispering, "Don't lose yours," while Carter snorted so hard, his goggles fogged, and Andre hummed funeral chords under breath. Mr. Huang, juggling lab safety and paper towels for squeamish students, missed the exchange. Between periods, Simone retrieved her math binder to find its pages. Defaced speech bubbles doodled over Thurgood Marshall's printed face, "Relax, girl." She snapped photographs for evidence, though each click felt like adding stones to a backpack already heavy with proofs of wrongdoing nobody seemed eager to weigh. At recess, she overheard two teachers murmuring near the staff lounge, "Middle school drama." One sighed, "Kids exaggerate." The phrase throbbed like a bruise. By Friday, the cafeteria chatter about dance tickets and weekend soccer gave way to rumors of something brewing. Simone sensed an invisible current, students pausing mid-sentence as she passed. She wondered if Tasha had leaked the clip despite promises, yet her phone showed no alerts. Sixth period art offered a fleeting respite. Ms. Valdez dimmed lights, played jazz, and invited students to paint abstract feelings. Simone dipped brush into cobalt blue, letting rhythm coax calm, but Dylan walked by, accidentally bumping her elbow so streaks splashed across canvas. "Oops," he said, hands raised in mock innocence. "Ms." Valdez rushed over first genuine adult concern Simone had felt all week. But before she could address motive, Dylan spun a tale of tripping over an extension cord. The class laughed. Simone swallowed frustration, and Ms. Valdez merely offered a fresh canvas. Another smudge on the record, another adult swayed by theatrics. The tipping point came after dismissal. Simone reached her locker to discover the Sharpie note replaced with a photocopied meme. Her own face snapped months earlier when she'd won the spelling bee photoshopped onto a cartoon superhero with massive earbuds labeled Cancel Culture Queen. Beneath bold type coming soon to a restroom near you. She crumpled the page, pulse drumming in her ears, but a flicker of resolve flared hotter than humiliation. She pictured Grandpa polishing his dominoes, saying, "Pressure shows your shape." Instead of tears, she felt clarity. The more they pushed, the sharper her outline became. That night, she uploaded every scrap photos notes, canvas stained to the same cloud folder, labeling it Checkmate. Meanwhile, across town, Tasha sat cross-legged on her bedphone screen, glowing as she messaged Avery Chen, editor of Valley Student Voices, a sophomore known for wielding social media like a spotlight on hidden injustice. Avery's reply popped up, "Send it." Tasha hesitated only to add context, then transferred the bathroom video noting date time, and that Simone had tried official channels first. Avery typed a single lightning bolt emoji in response. At 9:04 p.m., Valley Student Voices posted a 45-second clip captioned, "What bullying looks like when adults aren't watching Fresno CA. Share if you believe schools should be safe for everyone." Within 30 minutes, likes surged past 2,000. By midnight, local activists, alumni, and a regional reporter had retweeted with hashtags #See the Whole Board and #6-Minute Sanctuary. Simone lay in bed, scrolling through the burgeoning storm, heart racing somewhere between fear and relief. Jabari snoring in the next room, mom still charting patient vitals at the clinic, blissfully unaware. She typed a text to Tasha. "It's out there," and watched the three dots pulse, waiting until Tasha answered. "Let it run. Truth has legs." Simone tucked the phone under her pillow, stared at ceiling shadows, and realized Dylan, Carter, and Andre had just lost their monopoly on narrative. From this moment forward, the board belonged to everyone who chose to look. Simone woke to the hum of her phone vibrating across the nightstand like a trapped bee. The screen a blizzard of notifications, tags from classmates, she barely knew DMs from cousins she hadn't seen in years, and a single text from Tasha that read, "The Valley's awake." It was barely 6:15 a.m., yet hashtags #see, the whole board, and #6-Minute Sanctuary were trending across Central California Twitter. And by the time she shoveled a spoonful of instant oatmeal into her mouth, the local ABC affiliate had already stitched the bathroom clip into their sunrise segment, blurred faces circling the boys in red graphics. Anchorman, solemn as a judge. Jabari, still in Pokemon pajamas, gasped. "That's you and Simone's mother?" Bruised purple, half moons beneath her eyes from the overnight clinic shift sank onto the couch remote, dangling unclicked. Simone's gut churned like a cement mixer. But instead of dread, she felt a slow-rising certainty, the way dawn light eases into a room, even if curtains try to hold it back. They drove in silence, save for the Civic's squeaky fan belt. Midtown Fresno Middle School loomed ahead, parking lot, swarmed with news vans, their telescoping masts pointing skyward like iron sunflowers. Microphones clustered at the gate, reporters peppering arriving parents with questions. Camera shutters clicked as Simone stepped onto the sidewalk, denim jacket zipped to her chin, phone clenched in one fist, mom's hand squeezing the other. Students lined the walkway, some whispering, some offering shy nods that felt heavier than applause. Leah Ortiz hurried over, cheeks flushed, saying, "I told them what I saw." "Okay." Simone squeezed back, gratitude threaded with nerves, then kept walking, shoulders squared, because Grandpa used to say, "Walk through the smoke before it swallows you." She barely reached first period language arts before the intercom's brittle crackle summoned her to the principal's office. The hallway felt narrower than usual, chatter hushing like wind through reeds. Inside the front office, sunlight glared off polished trophies, while Principal Kavanaugh, Assistant Principal Delgado, and District Compliance Officer Ms. Raines waited in stiff semicircle. A fourth chair held Simone's mother, still in scrubs. Miss Raines began in the gentle voice people reserve for fragile things. "Simone, thank you for coming. We're concerned about a video that appears to have been recorded in a restroom." Simone interrupted, steady. "I recorded 3 students cornering me because every adult who could have stopped them kept missing the moment." Kavanaugh's cheeks pinked. He shuffled a printout of the district's electronics policy, mumbling about privacy violations. Yet Simone's mom cut in. My daughter asked for help. You offered posters. Delgado cleared his throat, suggesting conflict mediation, but the civics teacher's voice outside the door boomed as he tried to calm reporters already craning necks for comment. Simone lifted her phone, swiped to the Sharpie threats, the vandalized binder photos, the frog heart stunt evidence, arrayed like playing cards, and set it on the table. You ignored all this, she said, until the internet refused to. Ms. Raines exhaled, folded her hands, and pivoted. Effective immediately, the students in question are suspended for 2 weeks, pending investigation, mandatory counseling included. Simone felt a rush of relief tempered by caution. Pauses matter, Grandpa taught, because words chosen, after a pause, reveal intent. Kavanaugh added, we'd appreciate if you removed the post to protect everyone's privacy, but Simone answered, my cousin controls the page. Even if she pulled it, mirrors have shattered. Good luck gathering the glass. Silence thickened until a distant phone jangled. Ms. Raines promised a formal statement and escorted them out a side door, hoping to evade cameras that flashed anyway, capturing Simone's unwavering gaze as she walked past the flagpole. Throughout the day, the school resembled a shaken ant farm, students buzzing from classroom to hallway, faculty huddled near copy machines reading policy printouts, and every conversation beginning with, did you see? Simone slid into science class to find desks rearranged in a circle for an impromptu community dialogue, Mr. Huang clutching a clipboard like a flotation device. But before he spoke, a Latina 7th grader named Valeria raised her hand and quietly detailed months of being mocked for her accent during group labs, her voice trembling until Simone met her eyes in silent solidarity. Across the circle, a Filipino boy added that he'd stopped using his lunch hour locker because of racist graffiti he scrubbed off alone every afternoon. The confessions rolled on like a tide no lecture could hold back, and Mr. Huang set the clipboard aside, listening. At lunch, the cafeteria's normal cacophony dulled to murmurs of cautious support. A jock from Dylan's own squad nodded at Simone. 2 cheerleaders abandoned their usual table to sit near her, offering half smiles and tater tots. She ate mechanically, mind-parsing the new landscape where allies stepped from unexpected corners. After school, she found Leah waiting by the bike rack, yellow geometry book hugged to her chest. Leah said the counselors asked her to write a statement, but she wanted Simone to read it first. Simone scanned the neat handwriting, a clear account, 0 embellishments, and felt something inside unclench. The boys. They'd been escorted off campus, mid-morning, parents in tow. Carter's mother shielding his face from reporters' lenses. Rumors said Dylan's father threatened lawsuits, but even the toughest attorney can't cross-examine a million-view timestamp. That evening, Simone sprawled on her bedroom floor laptop, open to Valley Student Voices, where comment threads multiplied like vines, alumni recounting past harassment, parents trading district meeting dates, a retired judge offering pro bono counsel. News anchors debated student privacy versus safety, while one op-ed hailed Simone's recording as the modern Montgomery bus seat evidence that shifts the dial when voices alone are dismissed. Yet scrolling also meant trolls accusing her of seeking fame, bots deriding cancel culture, and strangers dissecting her life in pixels. She inhaled, remembered Grandpa teaching her chess endgames, how you win not by brash moves, but by controlling space. The space tonight was digital, and she refused to cede it. She typed a statement, brief, clear, I recorded, because silence wasn't protecting me. I hope every student feels safe enough to focus on learning, not surviving. Then she signed with her initials and logged off. Downstairs, Mom reheated leftover spaghetti eyes, weary but shining. She slid a printed email across the table, the superintendent inviting Simone to speak at next week's emergency school board town hall. Simone traced the bold header with a fingertip heart skittering between terror and determination, thinking of Leah's pink cheeks, Valeria's shaking voice, and the countless students who'd never felt heard. She swallowed a forkful of spaghetti-tasted courage and whispered, we're not done. Monday arrived like a siren, not a sunrise, because every radio dial, every push notification banner, every morning show ticker pulsed the same headline, Fresno Middle School Video Sparks, Statewide Review. Even Grandpa, streaming gospel on his recliner, 2 states away, texted Simone's mom a screenshot before Simone had finished brushing her teeth. In the driveway, the Civic's windshield glittered with flyers from a parents' group newly minted overnight, safe students, and families for equity, announcing an after-hours rally on the front lawn of the district office. Free donuts and a bullhorn supplied by a local bakery owner who'd watched the clip and decided silence was bad for business. When the Wellses pulled into campus, a uniformed security guard guided them to a side entrance reserved for stakeholders, because reporters now camped at every gate like migratory birds' lenses protruding from parkas in the chilly April air. Inside, the front lobby looked like a war room, folding tables stacked with bottled water, hastily laminated visitor passes, a whiteboard grid listing which homerooms would attend listening circles and which would be escorted to the auditorium for restorative assemblies. Simone passed Miss Schuam. Raines directing volunteers to hang sky blue posters reading "Report anonymously, scan the QR code." Each poster displayed a stylized chessboard watermark, the district's nod to Simone's "see the whole board" ethos, though nobody asked her permission to brand the movement. It felt bizarre, like watching her grandmother's quilt pattern turned into a corporate logo, but she let it slide because larger gears were grinding. During second period, classes paused for a live stream from Superintendent Harlan, who addressed 8,000 students district-wide from a podium flanked by ASL interpreters. He acknowledged the courage of one middle school student, whose calm persistence illuminated a systemic blind spot, promised a third-party audit of disciplinary trends, and announced mandatory bias awareness training for every employee by Memorial Day, citing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act with lawyerly precision, as though the statute had only materialized when the video pinged 1 million views. In Simone's classroom, kids watched on a projector, faces half wary, half electrified, and when the feed cut back to local announcements, Mr. Ellison did something unheard of. He turned off the lesson plan and invited open discussion. Hands shot up. A gamer who'd never spoken in class described slurs hurled during a Fortnite lunch club. A cheer squad captain confessed she'd laughed at racist TikToks because she feared losing social currency. Mr. Ellison, eyes moist behind bifocals, apologized for every time he'd let microaggressions slide because it felt easier than causing a scene. Simone listened, silent, absorbing each confession like rainfall soaking parched ground, wondering if remorse would outlast the news cycle. Midday, Miss Raines summoned her again, but this time to the library rather than the punitive beige office. Round tables were pushed aside, replaced by a U-shape of chairs labeled Safety Committee Student Advisors. Leah sat at one end, Valerie at the other, plus a half-dozen peers representing every grade and demographic the district could assemble in 12 frantic hours. Simone took the center seat only after Miss Raines insisted, and they spent 90 minutes mapping what safe spaces actually looked like. Better hallway supervision during passing periods, anonymous locker change procedures, restorative justice circles with real teeth, not the pop psychology worksheets teachers dreaded, and a standing student news feed where policy updates would appear in plain English instead of bureaucratic jargon. Ms. Raines promised to elevate each item to the board, scribbling so fast her pen squealed. As they adjourned, Leah slipped Simone a folded sticky note. "You made us visible." Simone tucked it into her denim pocket beside the Sharpie threat, two artifacts of the same building, now heading in opposite moral directions. The boy's absence felt tangible, like a storm had passed, leaving overturned chairs and puddles of doubt. Carter's locker sat open, textbooks removed by parents. Andre's varsity-style hoodie no longer haunted the gym bleachers. Dylan's trademark laughter was replaced by rumors of legal consultations. Yet at 3:45 p.m., Simone's phone pinged with a district email forwarded by Ms. Raines. The boys would be required to attend 8 weeks of professional counseling at a nonprofit specializing in adolescent empathy training, submit written apologies to Simone in the broader student body, and participate in a student-led panel next semester conditional on behavioral probation. Simone scrolled through the formal language part of her satisfied part, skeptical. Apologies drafted under threat of further suspension might read more like court statements than repentance, but she also believed in structural solutions over simple punishment. Grandpa always said checkmate wasn't about removing every piece, just cornering the king so the game couldn't repeat. After school, Mom drove Simone straight to the district office for the safe rally. A pop-up canopy shielded a jerry-rigged stage where Avery Chen, the Valley Student Voices editor, introduced speakers with the confidence of a seasoned MC. Simone had been invited but declined. She preferred to listen this time. Parents waved placards, every child's hallway should be safe. Teachers see us. And one older gentleman held a sign reading, I'm 72 and still fighting. Local clergy offered prayers. A high school senior recited slam poetry about locker room silence, and a community college sociology professor cited statistics linking unchecked microaggressions to dropout rates. When the bakery owner passed out cinnamon donuts, the crisp sugar scent mingled with the chilly evening air and felt almost like hope, a flavor Simone hadn't tasted in months. She stood near the back hoodie drawn up as a neighborhood grandmother, pressed a knitted glove into her hand and whispered, "Thank you for protecting babies, mine couldn't eyes glassy behind bifocals." Simone's throat clogged. She managed a nod before the woman slipped away into the crowd. By Tuesday, teachers filed into multi-purpose rooms for 6-hour training blocks, led by diversity consultants from UC Merced. Simone's math class watched movies while substitutes handed out identity reflection journals. Some students grumbled about missing dodgeball. Others scribbled fervent notes, hungry to be part of change. At lunch, Miss Valdez invited Simone to paint a mural on the shabby West Wing hallway wall, the same corridor leading to her sanctuary restroom, something bright, maybe a phoenix to replace years of beige institutional gloom. Simone agreed on one condition: every student who wanted to add a stroke could do so. No art rubric, no grades. Ms. Valdez grinned tearful and ordered a rush shipment of acrylics. The reforms kept rolling. QR code posters dotted hallways like digital guardians. An anonymous hotline staffed by grad students in psychology went live, and Ms. Kemper transformed library study alcoves into mediation nooks with beanbags and laminated copies of Title VI for anyone curious about rights seldom taught in Civics 101. Simone's watchword. See the whole board appeared at the bottom of each district newsletter in cursive font, credit omitted at her request. She'd rather the phrase belong to everyone than become another branded club slogan. Still, visibility brought storms. Troll accounts spammed her Instagram with snake emojis, and one right-wing talk show host labeled her the selfie snitch. Simone muted the noise, reciting Grandpa's chess maxims during nightly FaceTime calls. Trade your pieces only when the position improves. In this game, she realized emotional energy was the currency, and trolls offered only debt. Late Thursday afternoon, Miss Raines requested Simone's presence yet again, this time to review the finalized agenda for Monday's town hall. Simone would open the floor with a 5-minute statement outlining her experience and proposed solutions, followed by panel responses, Q&A, and a board vote to ratify new policy language. Leah would introduce her. Valeria would close. Simone nodded, took the printed agenda, felt the paper tremble. Not with fear, she told herself, but anticipation, and walked into the hallway where sunlight slanted through high windows, painting long rectangles onto the polished floor, like squares on a giant chessboard. She paused, imagining each square shifting, aligning, forming new pathways none of them had considered when the bell first rang on that ordinary Tuesday. Then she exhaled, stepped forward, and let the pieces keep moving. The district auditorium filled long before the 6:30 start, steel folding chairs, scraping parquet, and rushed rows, while local TV crews jockeyed for sightlines. Overhead, fluorescent panels flickered like anxious eyelids as Simone Wells stood backstage, gripping the dented podium-edge denim jacket swapped for her Sunday blue blouse, because Mom said presentation shouldn't distract from principle. Leah Ortiz waited beside her with the cue cards, and Valeria fidgeted with a lapel pin shaped like a phoenix, the art room prototype of their soon-to-be mural. Through the curtain gap, Simone saw faces layered by decades, grandparents in VFW caps, parents clutching coffee thermoses, high schoolers in varsity hoodies, even elementary kids swinging glow-stick bracelets, 500 heartbeats merging into one expectant hush. Board President Dr. Tan tapped the gavel, thanked everyone for bearing witness, then introduced Leah, whose voice trembled only on the first syllable before she found rhythm. I walked into a bathroom to wash my hands and discovered courage instead. Applause rippled. Leah stepped back. Simone exhaled the last pocket of doubt and walked to center stage, phone in pocket, buzzing with unsilenced notifications that suddenly felt trivial. She rested her palms on wood worn smooth by years of perfunctory speeches and began calm but amplified by the hall's cavernous acoustics. Silence protects aggressors, not victims. And I know because I tried silence first. A camera flash ignited, but she kept her gaze sweeping from left balcony to right aisle, recounting Sharpie threats, frog hearts, volleyball spikes that missed by inches, listing each moment. Adult eyes glazed away. She paused long enough for the air to tighten, then said, I hit record because policy posters didn't speak up for me. I shared the truth so nobody could bury it under, kids will be kids. Tonight I'm asking this board to make sure no student has to trade privacy for protection again. The hush that followed was so deep the HVAC hum sounded like thunder. Then applause surged, not polite claps, but a standing roar that rattled exit signs. Public comments opened, and with them a chorus of histories previously whispered behind locker doors, a 1998 alum describing slurs etched into his yearbook, a cafeteria worker recalling how complaints about lunchtime harassment vanished somewhere in the email ether, a first-grade teacher admitting she'd skipped over Ruby Bridges in social studies units to avoid controversy. Even dissent surfaced, Dylan Reeves's father demanding the district condemn vigilante filming. But a retired civil rights attorney rebutted by citing precedent privacy cannot shield ongoing intimidation in a public facility. Dr. Tan banged the gavel only twice to keep order, each strike echoing like a verdict. After 2 hours, the board read the motion adoption of the Student Safety Charter, anonymous reporting hotline, budgeted at $75,000 annually, mandatory bias training, renewed every 18 months, hallway and restroom camera upgrades, limited to entrances for legal compliance, and a student equity council with voting power on disciplinary policy. The vote passed 5-0. Camera flashes stitched the moment into permanent record. Tasha live-streamed the tally on Valley Student Voices. Viewership spiked past 50,000, concurrent hearts fluttering up the screen. In the hallway afterward, Superintendent Harlan shook Simone's hand, promising quarterly updates. She nodded, already picturing new endgames. Because chess teaches that securing the king is only the midpoint, the rest of the board still demands attention. Changes materialized faster than anyone predicted. By Friday, turquoise paint covered the West Wing corridor where Simone once counted tiles. Students queued to add a feather of orange or teal to the rising phoenix outlined by Ms. Valdez, its wingspan stretching from water fountain to fire exit door, as if shielding every passerby. Teachers rotating on new duty rosters strolled those lanes during breaks, clipboards traded for genuine conversation. Dylan Carter and Andre returned under probation in mid-May, wearing plain polos instead of bravado. During a restorative panel moderated by a Fresno State sociology grad student, they read letters of apology, monotone, yes, but followed by Q&A, where younger students posed unfiltered questions about intent and harm-forcing reflection beyond scripted remorse. Carter admitted he'd mocked Simone's diction because people laughed quicker than they listened, and Andre confessed the volleyball spike felt powerful until the video revealed how small intimidation looks on camera. Simone listened, arms folded, offered no absolution, but thanked them for honesty, because reconciliation, Grandpa always said, is a draw that ends the cycle, not a trophy won by one side. June finals arrived. Hallways buzzed with mural selfies rather than threats. On the last day, Ms. Kemper unveiled a library display titled, See the Whole Board Student, Voices for Change, featuring copies of the new charter artwork from the mural and Simone's original notebook page mapping her law school dreams. As the PA system played, Here Comes the Sun, Simone signed Jabari's yearbook he'd made honor roll and walked out beneath valley heat toward a summer that finally smelled like freedom. Denim jacket slung over one shoulder, confident the sanctuary she forged now belonged to everyone who stepped through those doors. The evening settles, and with it the notes of this story slow to a gentle cadence, like porch swing chains on a quiet July night. Because after the gavel drops and the cameras pack away, life resumes in the smaller, steadier moments where real change either takes root or withers. If you're listening with your eyes closed, let the images dim and breathe in the lesson beneath the headlines. Courage isn't always a lion's roar. It can be a single frame of video, a quiet girl refusing to flinch, a freshman who merely walks through the right door at the right time. Systems, whether schools or workplaces, are vast machines that hum along out of habit, but a well-placed gear can alter the entire rhythm, And that gear might be you tomorrow, your grandchild next semester, or a neighbor who thought no one would believe them. So take stock of your own 6-minute sanctuaries, those places where you gather strength, and decide now what you'll do when someone tries to invade them, because preparation is the calm twin of bravery. If you're an educator, pause the lesson when laughter cuts sharper than it should. If you're a parent, trust the tremble in your child's voice, even when words feel incomplete. If you're a bystander, remember that filming wrongdoing isn't nosiness. It's witness the first brick in a bridge to accountability. And to my older viewers who've walked miles of hallway memories, share your stories. Volunteer for those listening circles. Prove that wisdom gathered over decades can still light a path for younger feet. The board may vote, policies may print, but culture shifts when ordinary people treat one another's dignity as non-negotiable. Keep your phone charged, your eyes open, and your heart wired for empathy, because the distance between silence and justice is sometimes the length of a single push on the record button. Sleep well tonight, knowing that every calm act of resistance sends ripples through halls you may never walk, and that, friends, is how everyday power bends back toward balance.